I grew up with Blue Peter, and it was the best children's program, well, for so many years. I think it actually started late 60s, but back in the 70s, I remember it was a live broadcast program, which meant that they had a particular time that they went live, which was 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, I think it was then. And when they were actually filming it, you would do a rehearsal, but then you would go into the live broadcast, and you couldn't stop. It meant that for the actual rehearsal, the actual program that you did, you couldn't stop. And then for the actual live broadcast to 8 million kids at 5 p.m, if you made a mistake, you couldn't stop. You had to carry on. And that meant that you had to kind of work through it. You made a mistake, or you had a gaffe with something you've said or something you've done. There was no way that you could just say, oh, can I start all over again? It just never happened. And I remember that the director of Blue Peter, I'd been on the programme quite a few times for small things. One was a judo thing, and then there were different things. But I didn't realise that over that 6-month period that Biddy Baxter, who was known for being this absolutely strict producer, she had me in mind for one of the presenters' jobs, and she was giving me different things to present. And I was still competing at the time, so I think it would have been, well, virtually, it would have been impossible. And of course, I didn't have the training either in television presenting, but it was great to be considered. And I had a couple of really interesting things that happened to me when I was actually auditioning for different things. And well, that's another story. I'll say that in another one. Let me tell this story first. But one of the programs that I did was, of course, with the great Yoshihiro Yamashita, and one of the greatest judo people of all times. Yes, the great Yamashita was on Blue Peter, and yes, he did get a Blue Peter badge at the end. I think he did anyway. But Yoshihiro Yamashita was in the UK to learn English, and of course, the word soon got round, and Biddy Baxter saw an opportunity, called me to see if he could appear on Blue Peter, and he agreed. And of course, I explained to him what might happen on the programme. And that's the fact that the mats would actually be on a hard concrete studio floor. And of course, I explained that maybe we could do a couple of techniques to demonstrate, but we'd have to have control, and that his throws might want to, be light. I mean, he was possibly going to take on the Blue Peter presenters at some stage. You never knew what they were going to do in Blue Peter or what Biddy Baxter wanted them to do. And in fact, that's exactly what did happen in the end. But things can go wrong when you do live broadcasts. And bear in mind that the great Yamashita has been used to having multitudes of cooperative ukis, taking multitudes of falls for him in Japan. I mean, he just gets hold of as many as he wants, and then just does throw for throw. Well, not throw for throw, just he throws them, they don't throw him. And he doesn't go over at all, ever. And of course, coming up to the rehearsal, after meeting everybody, the filming crew, the presenters, and of course Biddy Baxter, Mr. Yamashita had an idea as to what was needed and what he had to do. Now, obviously, they know how to fall, don't they, these presenters, on concrete. I mean, they've done lots of ukemi before, not. And I've got to say that it worried me a bit, more than a bit. And then just before we are about to do a live rehearsal. Remember, we do the rehearsal first and then we go on to the main programme 2 hours later. But just before we did that, Peter Duncan, who was Duncan Dares, who had a go at everything, he'd climb the highest mountain or he'd climb the Tower of London or whatever it was, he'd have a go, and he was the daredevil of the presenters. And I remember he came up to me and he said, do you think if I had a proper go, a proper fight, make it more realistic, that Mr. Yamashita would mind? And, well, fear straight away. I mean, I said, maybe not a good idea. I wouldn't do it. But in the rehearsal, of course, he came out and threw the first couple. One of them was a lady presenter, and he threw them quite hard, and I thought, oh, that's a bit hard. But then Peter Duncan comes out, and of course he's full on, absolutely 100% on. And I remember seeing his legs whiplash over, and he hit the mat so hard and then no movement whatsoever. Couldn't even breathe properly, I don't think. And I remember out the corner of my eye, because remember, nothing stops for live television. Out the corner of my eye, I saw these feet. I saw this monitor, and I saw his feet kind of disappear. And he was being pulled off by a number of the crew so that we could finish the programme. And of course, that meant that he was out, not only of the rehearsal, but of course the main programme as well. So with one presenter down, because he couldn't do the live broadcast, we had to change the format a little bit. Neil to the rescue, of course. So I said to Mr. Yamashita, let's do a throw for throw, and then maybe just make it a little bit more realistic. We could do a kind of a mock fight, give them a taste of what's real in judo. Anyway, that's the worst thing that I could ever have said to him. And of course, the live broadcast starts 5 p.m. and it's going out to 8 million. And of course, when it comes to him and I, well, he threw me so hard that I thought that my lungs were coming out of my mouth. My turn, I thought, as I got up, couldn't breathe at all. And before I could say anything, he's whipped in for a second throw and he's thrown me again. So no turn for Neil. And this time my lungs completely collapsed. Was it going to happen again? Well, I could barely get up. Remember, this is 8 million people watching this, 8 million kids. And I have to protect myself. Full kumakata. My backside went to within a centimetre of the mat. And my arms were like ramrods. And I'm doing full kumakata, full gripping. This was war on live TV. Full randori, if not full contest. And, well, Biddy Baxter absolutely loved it. When we came off, all she could comment was, oh, that just looked absolutely wonderful. My back was bruised for 2 weeks afterwards. Peter Duncan, he had a month of visiting the chiropractor because he'd done his back in. And, well, you could ask, was it a good experience? Well, yeah, it was. It was a great experience, and it was an experience that I'm sure that I'll never forget. It was an experience I think that those Blue Peter presenters will never forget. It was on live television. What could possibly go wrong? Well, what could go wrong did go wrong.